This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Easthampton Development EDIC, Commission meeting for Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. You should have all received a copy of the December minutes. Are there any questions, additions, deletions? I had one thing, Cassie, that was on the discussion about the music venue at Memorial Hall. Gwen,
Okay.
what are the initials for that? I forget.
THCC.
THCC. It's and if anyone else has a better recollection of this than me, please chime in. But it said in the minutes that there were concerns about the application because of the clientele, and I believe the only concerns I had heard had to do with noise. I don't recall anyone saying anything about issues with clientele.
I think that it was written into the letter that the THCC group had themselves written in part of their special permit request that they wanted to head off concerns about that anyway. So I think that they had heard it, and so we were reporting what we had read in their letter.
Okay, I thought I read it. Gwen, in the context that we had concerns about clientele. And I didn't go back and reread it. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't on record of EDIC specifically having concerns about clientele.
How about this? There is reported resistance from abutters concerned about noise and clientele.
That's basically what it already says. There is resistance from abutters who are concerned about the clientele.
Okay. If it's referring to abutters, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Any other questions about the minutes? Entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll move.
Thanks, Cassie. Is there a second?
I'll be the second.
Thanks, David Del Vecchio. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Thank you all very much. Public speak, Gwen, I don't think there's anybody out there.
There is not.
Great. Okay, I want to welcome Allison Manuel to our EDIC meeting, to her first EDIC meeting, and welcome. I was going to say welcome to Easthampton, Allison, but you live here. So why don't we start out with sort of an introduction from you, Allison, and just an introduction. We'll get to updates later on. Then we can go around and introduce ourselves to you a little bit.
Sure. Thank you for welcoming me to the meeting. As was mentioned, I do live in town, but I am coming professionally from West Springfield, where I was the planning director. I worked for West Springfield for 9 years and spent over half of that as the director there. Finding that the department there was pretty different than here. I knew that coming in, and it's just getting more fleshed out now, but I'm trying to hit the ground running as much as I can. And yeah, I know you want to do updates later, so I don't want to go too far into the weeds of what's going on.
That's fine. Great. So let's go around the table, the artificial table. Gwen, you want to jump in?
Sure. Hello, Allison. I'm Gwen. I am the former and sort of postponing till near future chair of EDIC. Tom has been filling in for me for a year while I spend some time learning some other professional stuff, not thinking about EDIC quite so much. I am an employee at the Collaborative for Educational Services, and I study education policy, and particularly in the juvenile justice system. So it's not an obvious reason why I would be here, except that I have been in multiple cities on economic development boards and committees because I really dig it. And I think that our group, for all that we have no authority we have a lot of enthusiasm, and we've contributed to doing interesting and useful things for the city in the last 6 or 7 years that I've been on it. So that's why I'm here. How about Cassie?
Oh, hi. My name is Cassie Eckhoff. I've been on the committee for about, oh my gosh, time flies, 4 or 5 years. In my real life, I worked in healthcare quality management. Now I am the clerk to the Northampton School Committee, a really challenging, the most challenging job of my life. I can't believe it. And I like this committee because I enjoy the people and the good work we sometimes do. And I'll pass it to Dave Kutcher.
Hi, I'm David. I own a digital marketing agency and web development firm. I also own a antique Japanese art gallery in Eastworks. Yeah, I've been on the committee for almost 3 years now, and 2 kids in the school system. Yay!
Thanks,
And
Dave.
I'm Dave Del Vecchio. I'm the most recent addition to the committee. I've been on the committee for 4 or 5 months now. I used to be president of a locally owned company based in Mill 180, and we integrated into a national company called SourcePass about 3 years ago. We're an IT services company for whom I am the VP of marketing. And I've been on I am a current member of the Easthampton Chamber Board, and except for a 1.5 year hiatus, I've been on the Chamber Board since 2007, and am a 1-term former president, 2-term former treasurer, and helped to bridge the gap with the Chamber community in the EDIC.
Thanks, Dave. Allison, Tom Brown. I did have the privilege of sitting on the committee that interviewed Allison for the job, so we get credit for all the great work she's going to do in the future. I've been on EDIC, Allison, since it was formed, which is probably the late 80s. I don't know an exact year. I retired.
You do.
I retired from a banking career, 45 years in banking. All of that was here in Easthampton. I have served over time on several different committees and boards in Easthampton, and I continue to do that. Try to serve on the ones that will get me in the least amount of trouble. Not always successful at that. So that's your EDIC committee at this point. So,
Well,
Allison,
very
if you
nice
want to tell us what's on your plate, what's going on, what new and exciting things are happening in the planning department on the horizon.
Sure. So Jeff had a lot going on when he left, and no one was here for a while. I think
We lost.
Oh, are you able to hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there was a vacancy in this position, and then also some turnover and vacancy in other positions as well. So we're kind of like a new department for the most part. The most senior or longest standing. I'm sorry, we lost Tom, which means we lost a quorum. I'm not sure if you want to give him a minute. Oh,
He'll be back.
Okay.
There he is. Hello, Tom. How you doing? Are you back? Thomas Brown, can you hear us? Tom Brown, are you there?
Earth to Tom, Earth to Tom.
It feels like April of 2020.
There should be a cat crawling across one of our screens any moment then.
Tom, are you good? Nope. Okay. Well, if you can't come back, you can talk to us. We just can't vote on anything.
Okay, I'm fine with that. If you guys want to continue. So as I was saying, a lot of turnover in the department. So we're pretty new. Pascalina Azzarello has been with the department for quite a while as the arts and culture director. But we have some new faces other than myself. Dylan Maxfield, it's been a little over a year, so you all are probably familiar with at least his name and face. We have Johanna Stacy, who's the new senior planner, taking the position that Jamie Webb was in. And we have Ava Gerstel, who is the conservation agent, and she's also working with the CPA committee. So she's very busy, and we're all settling in as much as we can. I started right before the holidays, so it was kind of a funny time to start a new job. It gave me some opportunity to have some quiet time to kind of like learn where files are and try and read reports and plans and things. But it hasn't really picked up. It didn't really pick up until after the holidays. So I do still feel like I have a lot of catching up to do, and sitting in a lot of meetings, that's for sure. So I mean, I don't know exactly what you normally hear, what we would normally hear from Jeff, like ongoing projects in general, ideas, concerns. You know, what would you normally want to hear from me?
So in the past, we got updates on some of the major undertakings that were headed for example, zoning board or ordinance committee or city council that might need some support from a committee like ours. We've written a lot of letters of support. We often will go to meetings and use public speak time or issue specific time to speak in support of something. There have been, in a few cases in my time, we have brought our own ideas to Jeff, and then he can help point us in the direction of what other city employees might help us deploy our ideas. But he would give us the rundown of, for example, some of our most recent thinking has been about some of the housing production work and any attention being paid to special zoning or special overlay districts being assigned, like any of that work to understand how we are capitalizing on what money might be coming down the pipeline to support some of the city's goals. Giving us updates about known construction plans on major routes. Sometimes little tidbits about the community development block grants work. So it ran a wide range. We definitely don't need you to come and be like, okay, so on Monday, I can't.
Yeah.
But so
there's a long list of projects that Jeff was involved in, so I didn't know how much he picked and chose what he decided to bring to the table here. But that's all very helpful. So I will say the housing piece, there's a housing works grant that we received from the state for Ferry Street for them to continue with the project that's going on the corner there, I guess you would call it a corner. We're still waiting on the contract from the state, but as soon as we get it, we really want to get that ball rolling. The mayor's eager to make sure that housing does get developed in the near term. And that does also include an improvement to the Parsons and Ferry Street intersection, which has been long awaited. And I think everybody will breathe a sigh of relief when that's done.
Yay.
Yeah, so I can't give you a guaranteed date of when that'll be completed. Like I said, we still don't have the contract from the state, but we were awarded the funds, so it is happening. So there's that. There's also the community development block grant stuff happening in that area too, the new city infrastructure improvement plan. We've been having regular meetings about that since I started. Every other week we meet with the project team at Kleinfelder, the consultants. And so that's well underway. There's some parks projects that are in the earlier like conceptual design phases, but some of the infrastructure improvements are advancing into the final design phases, or into the 50% to 75%. So those are, chugging along. As far as things that are coming to the boards, there hasn't, I mean, it's been pretty quiet again with the holidays and everything. It was a bit of a lull. We've had a couple people come into the office about like small housing, like converting a single family to a duplex type of thing. I did sit in on one of the council meetings last month where the Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership presented, and they had a full report on zoning recommendations on how to improve our existing zoning for not only like density necessarily, but also like existing neighborhoods, how to make it easier for people to modify their homes so that they can stay in them for longer. And I thought it was really thoughtful and well done. So I am meeting with them this week, and I'm sure I'll be getting more info when I do have that meeting, but I do foresee trying to put together like a package of zoning amendments with the mayor's blessing, of course, to bring forward to the council, and would love to have all of your feedback on that too when the time comes.
Great. I will also share that we have recently, no, the entire time, coordinated with the Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership on housing production stuff. They've written elements of what we can do to support that work into their plan. At some point, if there are updates about the 3 schools conversion to housing that give anybody any information, we have heard nothing in so long. It's like it's never going to happen. And that was such a big dang deal at the time that we were making the decision to move to the new school in the first place and then figure out what to do with those old schools. So I think people would be delighted to hear anything official.
Yeah, I mean, it's barely even been a topic of conversation since I've started. It hasn't even really come up because it is still kind of stalled out for now, at least as far as I can tell. No one has reached out to me. The chosen developer hasn't reached out or anything. So unfortunately don't have an update on that one. It's not necessarily an update per se, but the 385 Main Street 40B was appealed. I found out today that they're in mediation right now, the abutters and the developers in the city, I guess. So, hopefully that'll be a productive process, but it's hard to say. And I don't necessarily know the ins and outs of the abutters' concerns there either, and how easily they can be addressed. So I don't want to weigh in too much on that, but hopefully an agreeable resolution can be come to there. And the Tasty Top project is also another one that's really been kind of quiet. They've been working with the Conservation Commission on satisfying some of the conditions that were placed on them by the commission, which they need to do before they can start construction. So until they resolve that, it is going to be quiet. The ground's frozen now too, so I'm sure they're probably, it's on the back burner for them, but hopefully that'll pick back up in the spring, and we'll see some movement and momentum going on there. Circling back to zoning, one thing that has come up, we had the new owners of Mission Cantina stop by. It's actually the Antonio's owners, bought the Mission Cantina, and they wanted to make some improvements to the patio out front. And I was surprised to learn that the downtown business zoning district has like front and side setback requirements. They're kind of an outlier on the street, but that district extends to other properties that also have that or setback, and that in the future, I just think it's odd. I think it's inconsistent with the neighborhood to be requiring 10-foot side and front setbacks. For the Cantina property, you can picture if they wanted to put like a covered patio, it'll be like a little narrow strip down the middle.
Walkway.
Yeah. So I that was one thing that came to mind. I don't know that they're interested in pursuing a zone change, but I think it's worth looking at least. It just seems like we would want to be promoting more of that like streetscape and continuity with the buildings in that district.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Tom is not able to get his computer to turn back on. So we've experienced catastrophic failure at Tom Brown's house.
Oh, no.
Reportedly, he's still typing a text. I don't really know. Gosh, guys, do we have to close our meeting now? I don't know. 'Cause
Maybe
we
he'll be
started
back.
at 1. What?
Maybe he'll be back.
He says no.
Oh,
I mean, we're not voting on anything, so I don't see a reason why we shouldn't just continue.
Say again, David.
We're not voting on anything, so I might as well continue.
Yeah, we could give updates on the other things that are on the agenda. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Allison? Or points to bring up? What did I miss in what we have worked with the city planner on before?
I'm thinking that if Tom could speak, he would talk about how many zoning requirements that we have.
Yeah,
Haven't we talked about that?
ad nauseum.
And the need to reduce the number.
Mhm. So a big, when I started my position in West Springfield, I was the economic development coordinator, and that was always my focus to when I was in school to become a planner. And obviously streamlining land use regulations is a big part of that. So I'm happy and eager to participate in looking at some things that will make it easier for businesses to do what they want, while also not like threatening the community interests.
Yeah, we had many conversations about the required parking needs per existing zoning and how that's at this point not helpful to a lot of people, in particular developers, but also like the use of land downtown. On the conversations we've had about the size of the parking lot at the Easthampton Savings Bank site in downtown and the liability that they incur if we want to develop city space as a venue. What do we do about parking on the weekends and such when the bank isn't open and the stuff's happening in the evening? So things like that are interesting to us and things that we think about. And along those lines, what's next on the agenda? Is it any update from David or Cassie about either of their current initiatives?
I was hoping to get an update from Dave Delvecchio about the chamber board and the climate initiative.
There you go. Okay.
I brought that initiative to the board, and we're happy to help trumpet the efforts. So when we had last talked about it here, you were going to look at putting together some window clings or stickers, something to kind of say that to identify you're a business who's supporting the climate action plan. So count the chamber in to help promote the initiative.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I think I'll draft correspondence, and I think I'll put together a package for the next meeting.
That would be outstanding. I think like a one paragraph description of what the climate action plan is, with a sentence or two that is just, in the chamber involvement is to help promote and distribute stickers to businesses interested in displaying their support of the action plan with a link to the action plan. And that would be perfect.
Okay.
Along the lines of the chamber, I saw that they were putting out a thing for a new executive director.
Yes, Mo Beliveau is retiring in May.
That's big.
Oh, I didn't realize you hadn't seen the news. Yes, Mo had announced it back a couple months ago. And so we took the opportunity to actually update the job description before advertising for the role. But right after the first of the year, we've posted the opportunity for the executive director position. So it's posted now. You can find it through the chamber's LinkedIn and Facebook pages, and also directly on the chamber website.
Awesome. David?
Also, just throw out the commercial. If anybody is interested in joining us, our annual meeting's coming up next week as well. And it's going to be a bit of a working session. We're actually doing a little bit of a precursor. We're trying to get some feedback from the membership at the annual meeting because the chamber board is going to be doing a strategic plan retreat the first week of March. And so if folks are interested in attending the luncheon next Wednesday, I believe it is. That information is available on the website as well.
Cool. David Kutcher, you want to hit us up with some Easthampton Mills stuff?
Sure. So we've got 50 plus people have gone registered for the Easthampton Mills. We've been building a newsletter. We're doing our first kind of joint event coming up for Art Walk, February 1st Art Walk from 4 to 7. I got 5 galleries, including myself, to partner with Tip Top Wine. So we're doing a wine tasting tour through Eastworks.
Nice.
So 5 different wines at 5 different galleries. So everyone will just kind of be stumbling out the door at 7 o'clock, which would be great. But there's been a lot of feedback about wanting to do more and wanting to get more involved and do more cross promotions between the building people in the buildings. But one of the biggest gripes and things I've brought up before is, speaking especially with Tip Top, nobody knows what's on the back part of the mills or how to even get back there. So there's some discussion of perhaps we need to be crowdfunding our own signage and wayfinding. But it'd be great if the city planner's office can help us with that. I know that was one of the projects that Jeff had been working on among his many other projects. But the wayfinding for how to find the parking or where the different buildings are is a big, I'm going to say it's an area of concern, but it's also what many feel is holding back their own success as small businesses.
Yeah, so that is on my radar. I was looking at the latest like Mills vision plan. I'm trying to think exactly what it was called, but I actually then also got a call from one of the engineers at VHB that I had a relationship with from my other job, who gave me a heads up that there is some kind of meeting coming up, hopefully with the city. And I'm not sure exactly who was initiating it from the Mills, but I'm hoping I'll be a part of that. Jeff had also left notes about the wayfinding and that being sort of low-hanging fruit compared to some of the other things that were in the plan. So I'm waiting on the state to release they call it the Community One-Stop Grants, and wayfinding is usually a part of that. So I'm waiting for them to release the request for proposals or the notice of funding at least. And then, yeah, I think we'll take it from there. But I agree. So I go to Fitness Fusion, which is in the back. And the first time I went, I was like, where am I going? It is a little iffy if you're not used to driving back there. So I definitely can see where everybody's coming from.
So just some background on my project. So I own a gallery in Eastworks. And a while back, a bunch of us had conversations about it would be great if we were not a business improvement district, but a cultural district, as the Mills being a cultural district. But then I've learned that the state is no longer doing cultural districts and is also revising or reevaluating how they spend money on cultural districts to some extent. So the idea then was, well, how can we bypass that idea or that pot of money, but still maintain the energy of a district without being an official district. So out of that is I started a website just to get the ball rolling and to start the conversation with other businesses in the buildings and see what we can do and how we can be more like the state's guidelines for what is needed to be a cultural district without being a cultural district. So one of them said, like, you need to have joint marketing before we'll consider you a cultural district. You need to be putting on events together as if you're a cultural district. So we're kind of going down that pathway in small, slow ways. But that's kind of the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely, I think marketing branding is going to be a big part of it. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like definitely you're hitting some of those things. The Food Truck Fridays is collaborative, as far as I can tell, and so that's
Yep.
great that there's been thought given to that. And I didn't know that about the Mass Cultural Commission, that they were going in a different direction. So that's interesting information.
Yeah, well, you can't even, as of like 2 years ago, you can't even apply to be a cultural district.
Oh, wow.
So they just stopped the program. But
I wonder if it's a funding.
that being said, like, probably.
Yeah.
But even if like we can get the city to help with wayfinding, that would be huge. Of like, there's parking here. Go one of these 3 places that does not look like a driveway.
Yeah, that really is the problem, I think, is it just they don't look like obvious, and they're kind of dicey too when you're driving down them. So yeah, I hear you for sure on that.
Cool.
Hey, David, I tried to educate myself about Eastworks because I'm not sure I'd been there. And so I took a right at INSA. That's the store, right? The weed store. And then I wasn't sure what to do. So I went back behind the
So wait,
building.
which were you on the back side or the front side of Pleasant Street?
I was coming down Ferry Street or
You're coming
Pleasant.
down,
I get lost.
you're coming down Ferry Street from Pleasant.
Was it like the little
No.
narrow alleyway?
I was coming down Pleasant towards
This is
the
illustrating
Rotary.
the problem right now.
Towards the Rotary.
Okay.
So you were on Pleasant
Yeah.
Street. Towards
I
the
was
Rotary.
going
Okay,
towards
so-
the Rotary.
If you're going down
And
Pleasant
so-
towards the Rotary, towards which Rotary? Because there's
Yeah,
2.
roundabout or rotary?
You mean Ferry Street?
Thank you.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
trust you.
So if you're going down Pleasant towards Ferry Street, the first building is Eastworks. The second building is the
Keystone.
Well, no, there's one technically between them, which is what INS is in.
Oh, the
I didn't
one
know this.
Something.
in the
Yeah.
little building in the back that looks like an old power building or something.
No. So there's 116, which is Eastworks, and there's 118, and then 120 is the Keystone building.
Right.
So
So I
INSA
went
is not in the Keystone building, it's in the one between the two, technically.
So
Gotcha.
you turned
Right.
Well, I
right.
went
off
back
of Pleasant
there.
Street.
And there was nothing there
You went down a
along the
hill.
water. I went down
You went
and I
down a
Right.
hill.
didn't see anything.
You had giant buildings on either side of you,
Right.
Yes.
and you could
So-
turn left or right.
I turned
Okay,
right.
so
You
if you
turned
turn
right.
right, you can
Okay.
go into the entrance, which is right next to the entrance for daily operation,
I saw that.
which is in that's in the Eastworks building, or there's a door right before it that helps you get into Prodigy, or if you go past there, there's like a loading dock entrance with a mural by Kim Carlino, which brings you into like the basement of Eastworks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
And there's no signage
I was
anywhere.
expecting to be entertained from the way you were talking last week. Like there'd
Oh,
be tons
no.
of storefronts.
Expect nothing like it.
And
No,
sorry,
that's the thing is that
Wall-
I
there's,
don't mean
You're
to
like,
be.
Should
I don't
am
mean
I
to be
allowed in here?
facetious.
I'm sorry you were not wowed. If you went the other, that's the thing is that nobody really wants to put up a signage down there because nobody thinks to go in there unless you already know there. And there's nothing that really encourages a walking down there between the buildings. Like, it just isn't, because it's kind of an afterthought. And at the same time, the businesses down there don't want to spend the money on that. And the buildings don't seem like that's really a priority of theirs. Whereas, like, if there was signage, you'd probably see more walking between the buildings. Just nobody knows what's down there, or how to even get down there.
And it is confusing to enter the buildings from the back too, if you're trying to get to the other levels. I can attest to that. But there has been a lot with daily operation in the Tip Top and
Food Truck Fridays at the abandoned building. I mean,
yeah,
they'll get 1,000, 2,000 people back there sometimes.
that's like great visibility for
Yeah.
everyone back there for sure. And I do think the breweries are probably like the main driver of people venturing back
That
there.
in Millside Park, you know, when they were doing Mill Pond Live, the concerts, that really brought people to the backside of those mills.
Yeah.
But they didn't run that this year, so.
Yeah, you got to get people back there. I mean, it's a huge, nice parking lot. So hopefully when people come back and they see that, they feel more confident the next time. But yeah, the cross-pollinating between buildings is an interesting point because I don't see that happening a lot either.
Yeah, and it's a shame because it could be such a great walkable area with so much down there. You know, whether it's abandoned building, Prodigy, a new city, you have a skate park that's going in, and you know, there's a lot of stuff there that would benefit from just being able to find it. Yeah.
Definitely.
And I think one of the marketing messages that I was putting into the website was that you could spend a whole day in just the mills. You know, kind of just threading that through of if we had more cross-pollination, someone from out of town could spend the whole day just going between the mills and shopping and galleries and activities and drinking and eating and everything else like that. But nobody has put it together. Yeah. So there's that.
That's good food for thought.
So let's work on that, Allison. New task. Put it on your list. We have no authority, but we're very enthusiastic. Yeah. And you, David Kutcher, you have been advertising that there's going to be an Easthampton Mills specific art walk coming up on the
on the first. So it's the first Saturday of the month is art walk, and New England Public Media added us to their culture to do. We've been putting it through all the channels, and it's kind of our first like branded event. So hopefully it has good turnout and encourages more people to participate next time. Yeah, it should be good.
Cool beans. Any other business to discuss and not vote on? The best. I feel like we could move to end the meeting, or we could just end the meeting. I don't know.
We can't move to end the meeting. You can't
we'd
vote.
have to vote.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.